I'm Tim Carroll, CTO of the Telos Alliance and founder of Linear Acoustic.
I'm Mike Richardson. I'm Director of Engineering for the Processing Platform Group.
Originally, Telos was started as just Telos, so the Telos Alliance actually brings together brands. Sometimes they were separate companies. In the case of Linear was a separate company. 25/7 was a separate company. Axia was grown from within. We have technology that maybe one or multiple brands can be combined or individually can solve those problems.
We're seeing a shift, like a lot of other industries, from hardware-centric solutions to more software-centric ones. Instead of just a standalone one-rack box to implement, say, loudness processing and upmixing, the product still does the same thing, but it's now a little piece of software on perhaps the customer's own server that they have control over that aspect of the hardware.
The customer hasn't necessarily changed, and their target hasn't changed. So it's still a certain demographic. They're still trying to get content to that demographic. But the way that those viewers or listeners might be consuming the content changes. We all see it. Our goal is to help broadcasters do their job. So we participate shoulder to shoulder with a lot of the technical people from some of the fairly large broadcasters out there who also participate in these groups. It gives us a little bit of an advantage. It lets us see where they might be headed. It lets us see where they might want the technology to go. We can make suggestions. We can in fact steer things sometimes, but mostly we're listening. It's not easy. Nobody pays us to be on the committees. Nobody pays us to spend time and ask questions, have really early morning meetings at the trade shows with broadcasters and say, tell us what you need. Tell us where you see this going. So that's sometimes as much work as designing the actual solution. It's finding out what the problem is. If we come up with a solution that we think will solve something that we don't understand, more often than not the industry will, crack us on the knuckles and say, hey, that's really nice, but that's not really our problem. Our problem is this. So really a big part of our job is understanding the problems as best we can.
Well, we can look at a classic problem in the broadcast industry on the television side, and that is loudness control. In the over-the-air broadcast area in cable, we pretty much as an industry beaten that down now. Now, of course, that same problem can exist and is compounded somewhat in other delivery means. If we're watching a movie by a streaming service on our tablet or our telephone, we are still solving those type of problems, and even though the loudness control is at the root of it, certainly there are other ones wrapped around the particular delivery mechanism that we're addressing.
We won a technical Emmy, which we shared with Dolby Laboratories back in 2010. And this Emmy Award was, in addition to being sort of a surprise, the Emmy Award covered mechanisms that both companies had developed that would solve this loudness situation and at the same time preserve the quality of the audio. While the company was originally founded, while the linear acoustic part of Telos was originally founded to build processors that would just blindly process audio for television and do a pretty good job of it, if the goal was to satisfy the original program producers, it didn't do so well, not as well. And increasingly that's become the demand. The loudness problems are solved. Why can't I hear on the air what I'm producing in the studio? And it's a valid question. And amazingly, we go back to the technology that's behind that Emmy Award, and we're just seeing that start to spread out to the marketplace now, just in time for what we used to be able to do almost completely upstream to now have to be split so that it's occurring upstream and at the consumer side.
DARE 1000 is a one-rack high loudness processor that can handle up to 8 instances. Each of those instances can handle up to 10 channels. loudness processing and upmixing and Dolby encoding and Dolby decoding and just a mile-long list of extra ancillary features that goes with it.
We're primarily engineers at the company, but we're also very heavily customer focused. It's where Frank came from, it's where I came from, certainly Mike has come from this. Our favorite place to be is in the trenches with the customers. We learn from them. Hopefully sometimes they'll learn from us, but we would be foolish to run a company engineering what we thought was the best answer. Some companies do that. It's not for us. We want to make something that truly fits.
We love the customer interaction. We love fixing problems for them. We love solving problems with the product we may have been working on that have been nagging them for quite a while. We love surprising them with some of our new products. Problems that they have that they really think are insurmountable.
What's coming is spectacular. What's coming is geared to protecting and transmitting exactly what the content producers intended, and still allowing the broadcasters to protect the audience.